Today on Herndon Live, we'll discuss the case of Robert Durst, what he has done, and what he featured in this HBO documentary.
Also, Casey Molina and I talk about the proper workouts for your body shape.
Those stories and more as Herndon Live gets underway. But we begin with breaking news. All right, and we are joined now by Haley Kasser, our weather person, meteorologist here at Herndon Live. And Casey, what kind of weather are we expecting over these next over the next hour or so?
Well, I'm Haley, and I'm giving
sorry,
you
I did it again.
the weather that we are going to be expecting.
Let's take a look at this radar here. What are we seeing here going over West Virginia currently?
Okay, we're seeing an upcoming storm heading towards our area. It's going to be very big hail, extreme hail.
I don't know about that hail. We don't want to get the people worried. But we may see some hail, also some rain, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. What does it look like for today and for the rest of the week?
Well, today we are expecting thunderstorms, and the high is 69 degrees Fahrenheit and the low is 47. Humidity is 85%, so it's not bad if you like rain, and if you don't like it being too cold, it's pretty good.
Okay.
But this weekend is going to be very sunny, so all you people out there that like sun, it's going to be perfect weather for you. And now on our 7-day outlook, it's a lot nicer than what we had in the winter months.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. It's going to be it's 64 is the high for Saturday, and then it goes to 70s, then back to 60s.
But we're looking at some cool temperatures tomorrow, am I right?
Yeah.
So, all right, well, Haley, thank you so much, and be careful of that hail if it does seem to strike hard. Right now I'm joined by Mark Seaman, our news correspondent. Mark, how are you today?
I'm fine.
Good to see you. We're talking about Robert Durst today. Robert Durst, he is known as the real estate heir from New York City, and he was recently featured on this HBO documentary. Mark, very interesting story. I'm sure you've been hearing the recent events that has been that he has been talked about in.
Yes.
Let's begin to talk about who Robert Durst is. Robert Durst is a 71-year-old man accused of killing his wife in 1982, and he got a not guilty for his accidental death of neighbor Morris Black in Galveston, Texas. He's accused of killing his best friend Susan Berman in 2000. Mark, I mean, for a 71-year-old man, even though these events happened a while ago, I mean, he was kind of in his older age. Do you think it's odd that he's committing these crimes at an older age?
No. Well, it is it's a little unorthodox compared to other widely known events, but such things such as accused homicide or possible acts of this nature, they really don't have a set age group. I mean, there could be someone who is still in high school and maybe accused of committing a murder, or someone could be retired and even living in a retirement home and still have been accused of murdering somebody. So there really is no set age group. But with Robert Durst, because there hasn't been a massive media circus surrounding the whole thing, and for an old man, it's first time that this has been majorly brought to the public eye.
All right, very interesting. All right, so let's talk about this HBO series that he did. He agreed to be interviewed about his life, which eventually turned out to be the HBO series The Jinx. He was interviewed by director Andrew Jarecki, and he reveals stunning facts about the cases of all 3 deaths. Do you think it was a good idea for him to sit down and do this interview when the case of his wife has not been closed or the case of his best friend has not been closed?
Well, it certainly was not a good move on his part, because we've seen instances where someone has either been recently convicted of killing or is still, there hasn't even been a trial yet for their accused killing, and they've already gone out to the media in various interviews, even talked about like writing books.
Right.
We've seen that. The most recent case that has been shown to us is the Jodi Arias trial, where even before the trial, during the trial, and after her conviction, she went on numerous TV stations and spoke with the interview was for about an hour about the whole case, the effects leading up to it, and the whole case in general.
All right, so very interesting. Let's see. He shared some really interesting details on the Jinx. This include, he said that he lied to the police about the events leading up to his first wife, Kathleen Durst's disappearance. He also said that he did not tell the whole truth to the jury during the trial of Morris Black's death. Mark, can a trial be reopened in the United States if they figure, I'm sure a lot of the jurors, because they were featured in the HBO series, The Jinx, if they saw this fact that, he didn't tell the whole truth, could they reopen the case for a reason like that?
If you cannot, in the United States, reopening or retrying somebody for the exact crime is called a double jeopardy, and it generally doesn't happen.
Okay.
For example, Casey Anthony, who was acquitted of her daughter's murder, could not be tried for the same crime again, but can be tried for a different crime.
Okay.
Now, in the case of Robert Durst and his wife's disappearance and his acquittal and his friend's accidental death, most likely he will not be tried for the same crime.
Okay. So very interesting facts. Another interesting detail, he matched the handwriting of the death note of Susan Berman, a death note that was of Susan Berman's, to Beverly Hills. I don't know what that says. With the note Robert sent to Susan a few months earlier, the handwriting was down to the exact misspelling of Beverly. So let's take a look at this next slide, Mark. We can really see the detail of this letter. I mean,
yes.
We see this is the death note that was sent to Beverly Hills Police about the
Susan Berman.
It was about Susan Berman and saying how her body was at her house, and this was a note that the police found in Susan Berman's house that came from Robert Durst. Mark, they got I've watched the whole series. It's a fantastic series. If you haven't seen it already, it really shows some stunning events.
Yes.
What do you think? I mean, there's evidence. Document analysis people who analyze documents have said that this is the same. This is the same handwriting. Do you think that this will be a key piece of evidence in Susan Berman's trial?
It can be a key piece of evidence, but that cannot be their only piece of
the sole
evidence,
piece,
because
right.
Exactly, because in murder investigations and murder trials, you can match handwriting, as seen in the San Francisco Zodiac killings. They were able to match the handwriting, but they were never able to find or convict a suspect.
Right.
There are numerous things that you need to gather, that the prosecution and the police need to gather in order for there to be an adequate, good trial and have it fall through all the way. Things include DNA samples, handwriting analysis, which they have, but the most important part is the body. And handwriting analysis, to answer your question, cannot take them all the way through.
All right. Well, let's watch this video about a stunning fact he revealed during the HBO series.
And it's 5 after 4. Perfect timing. Can I have this, or are you going to send me?
I want you to have it.
Thank you. Oh, I am going to go use the restroom, which is right here. Or maybe this is the bathroom.
Yeah, that's...
You're right. This is the bathroom. There it is. You're caught. You're right, of course. But you can't imagine. What's else in the house? Oh, I want this. Insist. Right. Irish. Listen. I'm having difficulty with the question. What the hell did I do? Kill them all. Of course.
All right, so that was some stunning information there. Mark, I mean, this isn't going to look good for him at all. This could possibly be another piece of evidence.
Yes, and this is also another piece of evidence which the prosecution could add on to continue the trial. But of course, it's convicting for sure, but it's not, like I said, you need a lot more in a murder trial in order to secure the conviction.
Okay. Mark, we have a little game for you today. It's gonna
Is
be
this
quick.
the one where I'm
This is
not...
the game that you weren't allowed to see before. It's called
Okay.
Triple Three, 3 stories, 3 images, 3 minutes.
All right.
You're gonna look at 3 images. You're gonna
Yes.
try to guess what this strange news story is, okay?
Yes.
That sound good?
Yeah,
All
1
right,
minute
you have 1
each?
minute each, yes.
Okay.
All right. Let's take a look at number 1. All right. All right, hit the next one because we want to make sure the black. All right, your 50 seconds is gonna get darker and darker. All right.
All right. There was a person, a hermit, all alone, who was abducting stray animal, not abducting, who was taking in stray animals and keep them as her own pets.
Okay. How many animals do you think this person collected?
20-ish, 30-ish.
All right. Well, Mark, you got the main idea. We can skip this one because we know it's going to go dark here in a second. And Mark, you basically got the gist of it. So it's going to get dark. This is just an example.
Oh.
All right, so go ahead and hit the next slide here so we can reveal the truth to this.
Darker, darker, darker.
Darker. Just dark now. Still there a little bit.
Well, the animals are still there. Oh, now I don't see them anymore.
Okay. And next slide.
Total darkness.
All right. Yes, Mark, you're right. 72 pets
I was about
were
to
found
guess.
in a mobile home. I mean, it was pretty stunning here. 72 animals were found in an Arizona mobile home. This is after the owner, who is 71 years old, had previously not been allowed to have animals. The house had 54 dogs and 19 cats with 1 animal that was deceased in the house. I mean, this person's a little wacky. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our second story here.
I could look at their house and I could tell they're little... Anyway.
Right. All right, here we go. All right, 60 seconds on the clock.
Someone broke into a Lincoln log cabin.
Okay.
And,
What do you think this image involves?
somebody broke into... No, I don't know this one.
All right.
All I know is the Lincoln log cabin. A burglar stole money and he's using it to build his own house. A burglar stole money. Am I like warm or am I cold?
You're kind of warm. The
all right.
burglar did something.
All right, the burglar
All right, hurry up, Mark. Come on.
helped
It's
the
getting
people
dark.
living in that house. He stole their money, and he's going to build them a new house on top of the concrete. I don't know.
All right, well, Raleigh got it. Raleigh's over here talking to me a little bit. All right, it's going to reveal the answer in a second. Do you have any last-minute guesses?
The burglar tore down his old house, the big one, and he...
No. Okay, Mark, it's
Okay.
so off. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it's just so off. A vacation home in the woods outside of Spokane, Washington, was stolen off of the cement blocks that it once stood on. The owner said that they thought it was a dream when they drove up to their house.
How was that even logical?
Fortunately, the house was located 10 miles away from the property.
It's like Despicable Me and stealing the pyramids. I don't know how that
I mean,
works.
it seems pretty similar. I guess it was pretty easy. All right, let's move on to this next one. Okay, so well, Mark, I want you to describe what you see in each picture.
A police car,
Okay.
a girl with a really Joker smile, and sorry if I offended anybody, and inside a tunnel.
All right, Mark, let's look at this. All right, so inside a tunnel. All right, you're not looking at the big picture here. What's this person doing?
Driving.
Okay, they're driving. Okay, good. That's the key.
All right.
What kind of police car is this?
A white one?
I'm getting Of course, it's a white police car. What does it say on the side, Mark?
Police.
Yeah. Below the police.
Well,
You're running out of time. Mark, who is this?
a girl.
Not just any girl. Sit down. It's Malia Obama.
Oh, she was not arrested, but she stole the Secret Service car and took
Mark,
a
does that
joyride.
sound reasonable to you?
It sounds like it could happen.
I guess after hearing that last story, anything can happen. But here's what really happened, Mark. Well, it was just an interesting fact. For some teenagers, you just have to ask your parents when you want to drive when you have your permit. However, when you're the president's daughter, Mark, president's daughter, Malia Obama. Okay, got it?
Yes,
You
I
know
got
that
it.
is?
Yeah, I know.
Joker smile is Malia Obama. You just
All right.
offended her.
Sorry,
All right.
Malia.
Okay, and so Malia was taught by the Secret Service to drive. Got it? See, driving, Secret Service, Malia. I guess you could say that she was arrested while driving, but who knows?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's get on to the other stories very shortly.
I still need to know how they stole that cabin.
Hey, and welcome back to Herndon Live. So, sorry, our graphics aren't up, but I'm here with Casey Molina, and your segment is on body types.
Yes.
So why don't you elaborate a little bit?
Okay, yes, I feel like I need to. Okay, so body types are pretty much, first of all, there's 4 main body types that are most commonly found in women. And so it's the apple, the pear, the hourglass, and the rectangle. So not everybody really fits into these categories, but most body types follow this general shape. And I just wanted to do this video because I feel like, coming out of winter, everyone's, been eating a lot.
Or
and-
spring break, they wanted to
Yeah.
lose weight, you know, like the
Exactly.
workouts and the diets. I must agree, like, everyone at my lunch table is talking about what new diet they're starting. And I mean, it's shocking, the things that people are trying nowadays, so.
Right. Yeah. So, and actually what I am finding out is depending on your body type, there's different things that you can or should be doing that are going to have better results for you. So yeah, let's get into it now. Okay, so the first body type that I wanted to cover is the pear shape. So you guys probably know Beyonce, she's a pear, and Jennifer Love Hewitt is also a pear. So the pear shape carries the majority of their weight on their lower body. And the shoulders on the upper half of the body in general is typically just narrower than the waist. So they have a very defined waist, and they burn fat around the midsection very easily.
So shoulders are smaller, hips wider.
Wider, yes.
Okay.
And so, but the thing about carrying lower, like weight on your lower body is that it's harder to burn off. So unfortunately, as a pear shape, you have to work harder to do that. So.
Next slide.
Next slide. Okay, so some workouts and nutrition that are really good for the pear. Also, focusing on lower body workouts that are cardio. So, of course, running, biking specifically works the lower body. And then doing a lot of lower body kind of Pilates workouts. So I know the workout right here, that's called the bird dog, and that's actually a really good workout because it works your entire, like every single muscle in your lower body. And you guys probably know mountain climbers, you know, we did them in gym class, but they're like a form of cardio, but they also have muscle toning properties, so that's really good. And also lunges are really good. So, okay, so some tips for the pair in order to maximize just like your working out and any weight loss that you want to do. If you even want to lose weight, you can sometimes just like tone up your body. So reduce your fat intake because it's easy for that particular body shape to store fat. And also more complex carbs and protein. So some complex carbs are like lentils, beans, and whole grains. And then again, focus on your aerobic workouts that are going to specifically target your lower body.
And also another thing to keep in mind as we go through body types is that it doesn't matter your weight. I mean, this is a genetic thing.
Right.
I mean, it's some people, the fat in your body, it's distributed to different areas for different people. So it doesn't have just to do with your size, but it also has to do with your bone structure and all that. So
yeah, and actually that's a good point. Another thing I want to touch on is like a lot of people will find fad diets and fad workouts that advertise as like change your body type, and there's no way that you change your body type. It is a biological thing that you cannot change.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, next slide. Okay, so the next one is the apple. So I'm actually an apple shape. And some examples are Oprah Winfrey and Kate Winslet. So the apple typically carries fat around the middle, but tends to have a very slender lower body, and it's hard for apples to actually gain weight on their lower body. So it's easier to lose weight because most of the weight that they carry is in their midsection, and fat there just typically breaks down easily. So again, yeah, and it's kind of dangerous for an apple body type though to have a lot of fat in their midsection because it tends to break down and enter into the bloodstream, and this causes a lot of health risks like diabetes, high blood pressure.
And also if you have an apple body, from what I know, is that since all your fat is stored in the upper body where all your organs are, it insulates them, and like from what I heard, it's much harder to get rid of them because it's like build up around like your major organs, and it's not somewhere that can be like the front that can be easily like removed.
That is true. And then also the fat that is in those areas is called visceral fat, and it's actually a form of toxic fat, which is another reason why it's hard to lose. But just to clarify, when you start losing weight or start working out, the fat in your midsection is usually the first to break down, but it is also really hard fat to lose. So so if it is toxic, it's going to cause, again, the health problems, and that's kind of where you start need to worry. So. Okay, so yeah, some workouts and nutrition. So for apple body types, definitely a lot of core work is recommended, again, to reduce body fat in the lower region, implementing Pilates with weights, and also high intensity interval training. And I can say I do HIIT. It's called HIIT workouts, and I love it. And you can do it with any cardio. You can do it with running, walking, biking, swimming. I like to do mine on the elliptical because it's just like it's just convenient.
And the elliptical, I just want to clarify, or not clarify, just state that the difference between a treadmill and an elliptical is usually the elliptical it's much easier on your joints. It technically does most of the same thing as a treadmill, but you're not putting as much weight on your joints. So it sort of facilitates that movement.
Yeah, it's a lower impact workout, and it's recommended for people who get to a certain age and their joints can't take the pounding of like actually running. So some tips: focus on shedding pounds in the waist area, more healthy fats and less carbs. So as an apple body type, you don't process carbs as easily as any of the other body types. So those carbs turn into sugar, which in turn gets stored as fat. And then it's recommended that they do 30 minutes of cardio daily. And I know that's really a lot. I don't even do 30 minutes of cardio daily. So next slide. Okay, so the next shape is the hourglass.
Possibly the most glorified body shape of
the most
this generation.
envied shape of all. But okay, so the shoulders and hips are the same size, and some reasons why the hourglass shape is so visually appealing is because it's balanced. The shoulders are the same size as the hips, but the waist tends to be smaller. But they also do tend to have a higher body fat percentage in their arms and thighs, and carry it mostly all around their body, but it's mostly stored in the lower region. And again, they typically have a larger bone structure, which holds on to this extra layer of fat. So for them, gaining the muscle mass in their upper body is really easy, but overall losing the fat tends to be really hard.
And also another thing about the hourglass shape, another person who's not in these images, I know Sofia Vergara is like famous for her body, but it's also Kim Kardashian. She has like, especially even after having a baby, she still has that amazing figure that people envy. But another thing that people tend to correlate or to achieve this figure is waist training, which is like corsets, which they tie super tight.
Right.
It's like they did this like early something century, but it's supposed to tighten your rib cage, make your waist super, super tiny. I mean, the world record is like this big, and it's bad. But what that does is it moves your organs around, and it's like people are afraid that if you bend over, you'll snap in half. So that's just something that I would recommend not doing waist training.
Don't try and achieve an hourglass if you don't naturally have one.
Yes, if you don't naturally have it, I would not recommend trying that. I know that's the Kardashians, all the Kardashians are doing it, but yeah, that's just something that people want to try. Don't, it's not good for you. So just had to put that out there.
Right. So, but I mean, yeah, that's definitely something you don't want to do. But it is recommended for hourglass shapes to train their middle. But just do it with cardio and like exercises instead. Yeah. So definitely core workouts are recommended. A lot of oblique work because obliques tone the side of your body and the side of your abs. So some tips for an hourglass are it's this system called muscle confusion. So you should never do within a week, you should never do the same workout twice. You should always vary your ab workouts, vary what core workouts you're doing so that your muscles don't get used to it and stop gaining the results from them. And then also circuit training is recommended. So like also in gym class, they have us do circuit training, which is really just they set up a series of small exercises around the gym and then have you go through each and do them. And then so for an hourglass, cardio is recommended 3 to 5 times per week. And something that I thought was interesting was that an hourglass shape tends to have a lower metabolic rate, so they're not metabolizing their food as fast. So instead of eating 3 big meals throughout the day, it's actually recommended that they eat 6, so that their body is continually burning the fat.
The smaller portions.
Yeah, yes.
As
6
the day
small
goes
meals.
along.
Not 6 big meals. Okay. So the next shape is the rectangle. So actually,
I think I have this. I don't know. Just like narrow shoulders, narrow hips,
narrow
and
shoulders,
just like
narrow hips.
not so much curves, but yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like another misconception is that a lot of models are the rectangle, but actually, in some of the research I was doing, apple shapes, and I mean, there are a lot of models that are rectangle shapes, but apple shapes tend to be the model shape. They're just smaller forms of apples. And that kind of goes back into the thing of like, not everyone's body type is going to look exactly the same. You could be a bigger bone structured apple or a smaller one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the rectangle tends to be straight up and down. Like you said, their upper body and lower body have similar proportions. And when they gain weight, it's evenly distributed throughout their entire body. And again, yeah, they're not very curvy, but they have the highest metabolism out of every body type.
And this is a pretty good example because Keira Knightley, she's a very slim figure, extremely thin. But there are also other rectangle bodies that could carry more fat, and like so these body shapes do not correlate with your size really. It's just like as we've mentioned, it's biological.
Right. Yeah. And I think another, like Natalie Portman, I mean, you don't really look at her and think she's like a rectangle because I know throughout her acting career, I've mostly seen her have like a lot of muscle. And you don't really, that's not very characteristic of someone that's a rectangle, but that just goes to show you again that these body types can look like anything. Okay, next slide. Okay, so some workouts and nutrition for the rectangle body type. So if if your body shape isn't maintained, the fat gain is going to go to the stomach region, and actually rectangle shapes will have similar medical problems as apple shapes do, just because that fat is going to the stomach area.
Midsection, yeah.
Yeah. And so what's recommended are foods that are really high in protein, again, complex carbs. So ruler shapes are also prone to lethargy, which means they get tired very easily. So the complex carbs are going to keep their energy up throughout the day. Okay, next slide. And I think, so the general message to this is like, you know, if you're trying to be healthier or work out more, the most important thing to remember is love your body at every single stage. Don't try and change what you have, you know, and don't do these like fad diets and these dangerous things that are going to harm yourself. So
Exactly.
love yourself.
So thank you for the segment. Very
Yeah.
informative. Health. Anyway, now we go over to Raleigh, who's back for sports right across the studio.
Hey, thanks, Emily. Thanks, Casey. Well, I'm just gonna really quickly sum up the last three games that were in March Madness that were broadcast before this broadcast. So first we had Wisconsin and Kentucky, which was a big downer for me because I kind of wanted Kentucky to win because it was a throwback to last year when they also won, and I like it when teams go on streaks. But Wisconsin won out. I was pretty happy for them, even though I was rooting for Kentucky. On the other side, we had Michigan State and Duke. It wasn't really that close. Duke won, I believe, 81-61, and they went on to play Wisconsin in the final. And as you all have, I'm pretty sure have heard by now, Duke won 68-63, which was a bummer for me because I know I was rooting for Wisconsin. Eddie was rooting for Wisconsin. I think Allie was rooting for Duke, and she's in the majority. A lot of people were rooting for Duke. But, you know, the underdogs, you always got to give them a chance. Anyway, other college-age playoffs going on right now is the Frozen Four, which I am super excited for because it's hockey. The most recent two games were in the semifinals between Omaha and Providence, in which Providence beat Omaha 4-1. I know I had a lot of friends there. They really enjoyed it. It was a great game. And on the other side, we had Boston University and North Dakota. Boston University played very well. North Dakota played very well, but in the end, they just couldn't really pull it out, and Boston University won 5-3 again. Boston's looking for yet another title as they go on to play Providence tomorrow at 7:30 on ESPN. Also happening tomorrow is the final game of the Washington Capitals season. This is a big game. Do not get it mixed up. We have already clinched a spot in the playoffs, and so have the team we're facing, the Rangers. But if we beat them, we move up to place 3, and they go down to place 4, which means we would play a team that did not have as many points this season, and they would have a team that had more than them. So it would be unlikely that our rivals would advance, or at least less likely than us. Anyway, they're on tomorrow at CSN at 7:30. I suggest you go check them out. It will be a very interesting game, especially because it's at home and it's a big rivalry. I know James Pingatore will be watching, Rangers fan. All right, next we have Elise with her vegetable fun. So let's go on over to that.
Hi, I'm here with my vegetable fun. So it's spring and things are growing again. There are some blossoms on the trees, so I have some ways that you could take some vegetables and leftover produce around the house and regrow it. Okay? So first off, we have scallions, and in order to regrow these, you cut about 1 inch above the root, and this doesn't have water in it yet, but you fill it with a little bit of water and place it in a well-lit room, and then you just keep checking on it, and over time that'll grow. So yeah. And then next we have garlic sprouts. So to grow garlic sprouts, these aren't like the actual main garlic part. These are the green parts that you see here. They have a bit of a more mild taste, but they could be added to salads and pastas. So to grow these, you can put your garlic in a glass with a little bit of water to grow the sprouts, and again, put them in a sunny area. Okay, and then we have bok choy. So to regrow bok choy, you place the root ends in water in a well-lit area, and in a week or two you can transplant the pot with some into a pot with some soil to grow a full new head. Okay, and these are carrot tops. So to make carrot tops, you just put them in a dish with a little bit of water and set it on a windowsill or again in a room with sufficient lighting. And yeah, it'll grow little carrot tops that you can use in your salads. So to make basil, you put clippings from your basil in 3 to 4 inch stems in a glass of water, and you'll want to put these in direct sunlight. When the roots are about 2 inches long, you could transfer them into pots, and in time it'll grow into a full basil plant. And then we have the celery. So to regrow celery, you just cut off the base and place it in a saucer of warm water and leave it in the sun. And then it'll sprout a bit. Mine hasn't yet, but it will. And leaves will begin to thicken and grow in the center. Then we have romaine lettuce. So you put the romaine lettuce stump in a 1/2 inch of water. And this you'll have to re-water to keep the level at a 1/2 inch. But after a few days, new roots will grow and you'll have some leaves in the center. And after you start seeing this, the little sprout in the middle, you can then transplant it into soil. And last we have cilantro. So cilantro is kind of like growing basil. You place the stem in a glass of water, and once the roots are long enough, you could plant them in a pot in a well-lit room, and within a few months these will grow. Okay, and that's it.
Thanks, Elise.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, so now we are going to entertainment and basically music today on Herndon Live. So let's get into it. Yes, I'm Ali Casray. So we are first going to talk about one of my favorite albums right now, Kendrick Lamar, To Pimp a Butterfly. Yes, the cover was a little explicit for TV. This is his 4th album. It's following up from his 3rd album, Good Kid, Mad City, which had the song Drink, if you're familiar with that. And this song's, it's basically, this whole album is different than a lot of the music on like 93.9 right now. It's not straight hip hop. It's very funky, very political. If you saw the cover, it's actually the White House. And Obama's on it, and a lot of crazy stuff's happening in front of the White House. But it's a really good album. My favorite tracks off of it were You and Wesley's Theory, but it's extremely explicit compared to his earlier stuff. And it's definitely his like artistic album. It's his 4th one. So he's done enough now that he can sort of do whatever he wants, and that's basically this album, and it's basically the best hip-hop album right now. Now on to this album. Sometimes I sit and think, and sometimes I just sit. It got cut off a little bit. This is basically, it's described as an alternative record, but I feel like that's just a huge umbrella that's used now to just say when something can't be defined. Lyrically, it's a very folk album, but the guitar is sort of old school 70s tone to it. It's a really good album. She's right now being hailed as the best songwriter of this year. It's very folk lyrics, like I said earlier. It follows up to, this is her 2nd album. Her 1st album was A Sea of Split Peas, which was released last year. I just encourage you to listen to this album. She's Australian. How I would describe her is almost an Australian Shania Twain, if you guys are familiar with her. My favorite tracks off of it were actually 3 I really liked. Elevator Operator, Pedestrian at Best, and the song Depression. But yeah, now I'm going to go on to Tidal, which is basically going to be a music streaming site that is going to be released probably soon in the following months. But as you can see, this is like their big conference of different people who are backing it. You have Usher, Rihanna, Nicki Minaj, Madonna, Deadmau5, Kanye West, Jay-Z's the main person behind it, J. Cole, Calvin Harris, the lead singer of Coldplay, Chris Martin, that's his name, Jason Aldean, Jack White, Daft Punk, Beyonce, obviously, since it is Jay-Z's project, and I just lost it. Arcade Fire. I actually saw someone on the bus. Can we backtrack? I'm not done yet. Okay, thank you. I actually saw someone on my way to school this morning. There was this couple that literally looked just like Arcade Fire. Like, I'm not joking. And they were dressed so weird, but they were like outside the 7-Eleven, like near the skate park. It was so weird, but that like made my morning. Anyways, Tidal is basically going to be like Spotify, if you're familiar with that. But the price is going to be double the price of Spotify's premium service. Like, the most expensive Spotify thing that you can get is $10 a month, which is streaming on all devices and supposed to be the highest quality. Tidal is going to cost $20 a month, and they're saying that it's CD quality music. So digital download is like probably the worst quality music that you can get. Then it's basically CD, vinyl, live. They're saying that this will be CD quality. The big problem with this is that it's double the price of like the most popular music streaming program right now. But they're saying the reason why is not just the CD, but they're going to release exclusive songs, since there are a lot of major artists backing this from a bunch of different genres, because we have Jack White, we have Jason Aldean, and then pop and hip-hop, basically. There's a lot of people outraged about this because their slogan for advertisement is music for everyone. Typically, people do not spend $20 a month just for streaming, like the average person. Typically, if it's like a regular month, I might spend $50 on music. That's including Spotify, though, or in any albums that I buy. So a lot of people are outraged about it. It's something to be aware of right now because it might replace Spotify. And this might be the new way to get music, since I know iTunes is starting to go out, and most people either use Pandora, which I'm not a huge fan of, and then other streaming, and iTunes Radio. On to some other stuff. This is just a bunch of random stuff to be aware of that I like and that everyone should know. April 5th was actually the anniversary of Kurt Cobain's death, and there's so many biopics of his death, his life. HBO has been basically, I want to say, a huge Nirvana fan last year. They had a whole mini-series with David Grohl talking about different areas of the United States and different ways that music influences them. And they streamed the whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame concert with Lord, St. Vincent, Joan Jett. But now Frances Bean Cobain's doing her first like major project about her father's death. It's called Kurt Cobain Montage of Heck. It's going to be on HBO. It's supposed to feature more interviews with like his friends, family members, but Courtney Love has not gotten on board with this. So there's not supposed to be any interviews that they can report of with Courtney Love, his wife, if you're not aware. And Courtney Love also, this last week, she backed out of her tour with Lana Del Rey. Now Grimes is replacing her. I was going to go see Courtney Love, so that's a little disappointing, but Courtney Love's only been working on Empire of late. Another thing to be aware of is Hilary Duff's starting to come back out with music again after having her child, and her recent divorce last year, she released a new song called Sparks. It's her single. I can't say I was impressed. It's sort of disappointing. Maybe it was just because, you know, I was young when it all came out, but it features a lot of whistling. The best thing I can compare it to is like Whistle by Flo Rida mixed with like really pop, like Disney stuff. And this time though, she's not working with Disney's record label. She's working with Sony now instead of Hollywood Records. And then St. Vincent also released a new song exclusively 4 days ago on Jimmy Fallon that first aired on Girls, but only a snippet. So this is leading us to believe that she will have another new album this year instead of waiting 2 or 3 years like she typically does. Of Monsters and Men said that they will be releasing a new album on June 9th called Beneath Skin, and then Sky Fiera announced that her new album will be called Masochism, and that will be coming out probably sometime this year.
Well, that's very interesting. So, Tidal, I'm very interested in Tidal because, you know, now Tidal, will you be able to download the music? Because the problem with Spotify is that you have to use their app on your phone.
You can save stuff on Spotify. Honestly, the thing that I see wrong with Tidal is it's way overpriced. Obviously, all these artists are not in need of money.
But you know what it reminds me of? It sounds like Beats came out with their subscription music service.
Yeah, but that is only $10, just like Spotify. And the thing that I have trouble with this is just like with Beats. Beats, to make the headphones themselves, it does not cost $400. The music industry is basically becoming, and we could have a whole hour-long episode on how corrupt the whole industry is, but people could argue that $20 a month is worth paying for art. But art, like years ago, it was not expensive. This is basically just richer people getting richer off of just bad music almost.
And it makes me think that, I mean, like Netflix is like what, $8 a month?
Yeah, $7.50 or something.
And this is $50 a month?
Yeah, you're getting
$20. Sorry, I was thinking of something else.
No.
But $20 a month. Yeah, that's kind of like...
It's very steep, and that's why people are mad about this.
But
okay, is it at least commercial free?
It's probably going to be commercial.
It has to be. If you're paying $20.
But a lot of people are getting on board with the commercial free, because now Spotify, you can stream music for free with commercials, but that if you select an album, it will be on shuffle. YouTube's actually thinking about offering a membership where you can pay a certain amount of money to be ad-free, because now almost every video you select, there are ads.
Monetized, yeah.
Yeah, even if it's just some random like person with their like vlog or something. But this whole like Tidal thing, it's a huge debate. There's people like me who are like, it's not the best idea. Then there's people like, if you truly love music, you should be able to pay any amount of money. But it's not like this is going towards a huge, great cause of supporting music. It's supporting
But
Jay-Z
here's another thing too.
richer.
Aren't these artists losing money? Because how many people download their music from YouTube or, you know, some other source? That's a big large number
money
too.
in the music industry is made off of the selling of music. It's made off of touring. If you asked anyone, how much did you pay to go see the Rolling Stones 50 years ago? They would be like $30. Now it's $50 just to see some random like alternative artist to get nosebleed. No money's made off of the selling of music because, like you said, everyone in high school basically rips it off of YouTube or finds an illegal site to download it. That's why the streaming thing, they're not going to lose money. It's just another one of those, the richer people are getting richer, and it's the same deal. It's a Matthew effect. I think that's what that's called.
I guess so.
Thank
Well,
you,
Allie, thank you so much. And very interesting. Title's very interesting. Comparing the streaming services as well, that's also very interesting as well.
So, I don't know if you've noticed, but holy cow, do you see our desk?
Yeah, we can zoom out again. I mean, we got to see this beautiful thing. We'd
Do
love
you see,
to
like,
thank
down there, we
News
got
Channel 8 and WJLA so much for donating this desk to us. It's been a great desk. You know, we have a little TV in the front with our little Herndon Live graphic, if you haven't noticed already.
I
And,
love it. I
you know,
love it.
sorry if we had a couple of transition problems here, because, you know, we're kind of getting used to the desk, and we didn't really have any
Our entire
pre-recorded
show
segments
today was
either.
totally live.
That's right, except we had those little intros here and there as well. So once again, thank you.
Oh, before we cut
News Channel 8.
off, oh yeah, thank you News Channel 8 for the desk. Also, we'd like to say welcome back to Elise Lesage, who will be joining us for Herndon Live.
That's
once
right. She
again.
did her great segment about those vegetables and how to grow them. So might need to start maybe a little garden, perhaps.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not too good about doing any gardens, but we'll see about that. Great, and thank you so much, Elise. And that looks like all the time we have for today. I'm Jack Norcross.
And I'm Emily Ann.
And remember to follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And we hope to see you right back here in 2 more weeks. Have a great night and a great weekend, everyone.
Good night.